the 190E came to mind because I was like, that's probably the coolest car I could buy for cheap. If I can do an Evo 2 kit, that would be the coolest car I could have for like 20 grand.
20, okay.
That was my budget. So like 20 grand is my goal to build this car. Nothing like the Evo.
When he says 20 grand, what are you guys' first thoughts? Honest opinions.
No fucking way. It's never going to happen.
I'm curious to hear the breakdown of the budget, though.
Yeah.
1,000 horsepower Hondas don't exist.
Yep, and they always blow up.
And they always blow up.
Sounds like me. So, are you saying I shouldn't make fun of Honda people?
No, please do if you feel
Send it.
No, I want to. My actual plan was to buy a Honda next
You should.
and just make a whole series about
How ridiculous what they say it actually is.
Check. Yeah.
You don't hold yourself back from saying whatever you feel.
I know.
Welcome back to another episode of Modified with Trick Factory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
TJ Lamb.
Tim?
Rob.
Noise. And this is TJ's first time on the podcast. If you do not know him, it's going to be a lot of fun because he is attempting to, or actually has sort of kind of built.
It's finished. Looks wise.
Finished-ish. Yeah, I will get to that, but he's building an Evo 2. A Mercedes 190 Evo 2.
Welcome to Modify with Trick Factory Customs.
Thank you.
And welcome to the shop.
Welcome to Vancouver.
Yeah. I don't live that far from here.
It's funny because
It's like a whole different place, Gary. It might as well be a different country.
I know. Yeah. Speaking of which, when people hear your accent and the glorious voice, they're like, oh, shoot, this guy's from out of the country.
Yeah.
So sort of.
Like I was born in England, and then when I was 10, I moved to America. And then I lived in Kansas City till I was 19. Then
Kansas City? Oh, country. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, sick.
So I've been in like the supercar culture and then the muscle car culture. And now I'm in what I would consider Canada as more like the JDM car culture. A lot of people I know here, that seems to be all they care about.
Oh, that's awesome. And so what part of Canada did you say you are right now?
Right now I live in Calgary.
Oh, okay.
Calgary, Alberta. It feels like the middle of nowhere.
I would agree with that statement.
And surprisingly, there's a pretty decent car culture there.
Yeah. There's actually some really cool cars, and like Lift King, he has the whole Fast and Furious replica collection.
Oh, wow. I feel like I've heard of that collection actually.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Used to be in Edmonton, then the guy died, then Lift King bought most of them.
Yeah, that's kind of why. Yeah, so this guy had the Fast and Furious collection, passed away like last year or like 2 years ago.
a couple years ago.
Yeah, and then that's
Lift King now
interesting.
owns most of the like iconic
collection.
ones. The only one
Yeah.
it doesn't have is the Supra and a Charger.
That's pretty sick. And I met you almost 2 years ago now, I think, at the Calgary Driven.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Calgary Driven, and then I saw you again in Vancouver Driven,
And then we've just met up a few times after that.
Oh yeah, SEMA as well.
Yeah.
And now here again, and the other day, Wreckfest.
Yeah.
Where my car was supposed to be.
And we're gonna dive into that. So, what exactly? We've already said what you're building, but you can just kind of like. You like 190s, or first of all, what gave you the 190 passion?
Well, ever since I was a kid, like my first word was car. So I like all kinds of cars. I think I'm pretty unique where a lot of people just like one type of car, but I love lowriders. I love Hondas a little bit, not that much, but I like Mercedes. And every time I buy a car, I never know what I'm going to buy almost until I have bought it. It just kind of happens.
You check Marketplace every day, just like scrolling?
I actually don't do that. I'm one of the few car people that like, I'll get a car. I don't look at the Marketplace for 6 months until I'm ready to get another car. Then I will get ready, sell my car, within a week or so. It's like always on the 6 month mark.
That's interesting.
And then I'll look on Marketplace for like a week, find a car, something will happen. I'll end up with that car, and then I don't look for another half a year.
How frequently do you check Marketplace, Tim?
Me? I'm not on there at all. It's you guys.
Lies.
You guys are like continuously scrolling.
Marketplace runs strong in our shop.
Our lunch, like you go sit down at our lunch table, everybody just
every single day. It's
you
like
can't
a
even
virus.
mention that you want something like, I think I need to get one of these, and like everybody phones out like, oh, did you see this one? Check this one out. You're like,
yeah, I saw that one. Saw that one.
Yeah.
Or it's funny. It happens all the time.
Yeah. Or the funny part is when you mention a car, people have gotten so good at Marketplace. They already know what car you're and it's like every day. I'm like, how in the... It's wild. It's crazy. But okay, continue.
So basically, When I moved from America, I left because my visa basically ran out. Like I lived with my parents, I was a dependent. And then when you turn like 18, there was a lawyer that advised them like, okay, he should probably leave. Like he could technically stay till 21, but you can't have a job. You don't have a bank account. You can't have a social security number. Like basically you're just there.
So what visa were your parents on?
They were on a TN visa.
Okay.
I don't remember the specifics, but I was just a dependent, which literally means you are dependent on your parents.
Yep.
So even with social media, like I couldn't actually get the money in my bank account because I couldn't have a bank account.
Yep.
So like I would just see money every month just disappear.
That's
and it was
wild.
like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I moved to Canada where I have citizenship because my mum's Canadian. So then I just had it. My cousins live in Calgary. That's why I went to Calgary, not Vancouver, Toronto, or somewhere else. And when I moved, I had a Audi A4 and a Lexus LS 400, and I sold both of them. And then I also have a 1971 Rolls Royce Silver Shadow. I know you like that.
Yeah.
That was my first car.
I want a Rolls Royce, so like one of those,
Yeah.
so bad. Like I just want to build one.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm gonna put into it, LS, but
Yeah.
Are you ever gonna sell that car or no?
I don't want to sell it. I want to LS
Man,
swap it.
Come on,
I wanna
Just give
build
it to
it.
me.
But it was my
What-
first car. It's like the car that, like, if I didn't have that car, who knows where I would be? You know?
Yeah.
And it was broken. I've had it for now almost 5 years, and it's worked for about 3 weeks.
That's
you
Rolls Royce, right?
I know,
there.
right?
Yeah, what is that we said about British cars?
Oh no, they do not suck. I love British cars, but they think British cars suck, or the general consensus in
Yeah.
the shop.
They're
That's fair. That's
nice
fair.
to look at. But that's about it.
True.
They're cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, they are.
But anyways, I had those 3 cars. So the Rolls Royce, one, no one really wants to buy it, so it's hard to sell, and I didn't want to sell it anyways. And it's probably only worth about like 10,000 roughly US. And then I had the Audi and the Lexus, so I sold those cars to move to Canada because I didn't want to take them. And then it cost me a lot to like move up here, set up my business, like just kind of live for a year. I used that money while I got everything set up. And so I had no money to buy a car. So for like almost a year, I think over a year, I didn't have a car. And then eventually last year, I was looking at buying a car around August, and I really wanted a 2001 Mustang GT. You wouldn't expect that.
Oh.
But I have a build vision for it, and I still want to execute that.
Okay.
Maybe this Christmas. So that's what I was going to buy. And I went and I test drove one, and I agreed to buy it. And then I just felt like in my heart, in my spirit, I was like, nah, I'm just not in love with this one. Like it's just something's not right. It's not meant to be. So then I canceled it, and I was like, I'll just buy a car in March because in Calgary it's just ice age for the 6 months of the year. Like
Yeah.
it's negative 20 degrees.
How long is your winter season?
It
there?
starts November, end of October, and it goes until about April.
That's crazy.
End of
Less than I thought, though. It's like it's a shorter season.
It's like at least 6 months of just rocks on the road. That's the biggest problem.
And people that do not know where we are, again, we're in Vancouver, and it's not as this is the nice part of Canada.
Yeah.
So we get snow for like how much?
Week, 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a week of snow and 2 weeks for it to go away.
And so that is not normal because where you are, what's the highest or lowest temperature that you've seen?
I personally was like negative 33, but when I was gone this winter, it went to like negative 40 something
That's wild.
one day. And it usually will do it for like a week. It'll be like negative 30. And in Calgary, the winter goes on and on and on. So I was like, I'm not going to buy a car. I'll just wait. Because even if I buy a car, the cars that I like and want to buy are usually old cars because I don't like having car payments. If I'm going to have car payments, I want it to be on a Lamborghini. I don't want it to be on like a, $25,000 car.
Yeah.
I'd rather max myself out or buy a cheap old car that I can just pay cash for. So I was like, none of those old cars are either for sale right now because there's not a big market in Calgary. Like there's not a lot of people there. There's not a lot of cars for sale, in my opinion, compared to America where I was. So then I got the idea though, randomly one day, let me get a 190. How much would it cost to do an Evo 2 replica? Because I was like, what's the coolest car I can buy for my budget, which at the time, my budget to buy the car itself was like $7,000. And then my budget over the next 6 months was like, I was like, okay, I could spend like maybe $2,000 a month building the car. And the 190E came to mind because I was like, that's probably the coolest car I could buy for cheap. If I can do an Evo 2 kit, that would be the coolest car I could have for like $20,000.
20. Okay.
That was my budget. That was my budget. So like 20 grand is my goal to build this car. All right, nothing like the Evo, right? But I just wanted a car like this white one where you can just daily drive it, like stock looking OEM, runs, drives. That's it.
So
And
before you dive in, so when he says 20 grand, what are you guys' first thoughts? Honest opinions.
No fucking way. It's never gonna happen. It's a pipe dream.
I'm curious to hear the breakdown of the budget. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to do a lot of the work yourself, right?
well,
As
I
much
did.
as you can.
That was my plan. It didn't
Right.
end up that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't end up that way at all. So I started looking at 190s, and I was going to buy one in America because I was like, chance of finding one in Calgary is terrible, and they're all going to be rusty.
Yep.
So I was looking in Arizona, and I agreed to buy this one. It was like 7K US. So it was like almost 10 Canadian. I was like, that's more than I wanted to spend, but I could probably afford it, and it'll be clean. But then I decided, you know what? Before I go and buy that car, I should test drive one in Calgary to see if I actually like the car or if I just hate it. Because usually when I buy a car, I never test drive them. I never like even look at them. I just buy it and then find out. So I went to test drive. There were only two for sale in Calgary. Okay. All right. There was a gold one and a white one. And the gold one, the guy never responded to me. So I went to look at this white one, and this girl had it. And I test drove the car, and I was like, oh, I actually really like this. Reminds me of my Rolls Royce. It's very quiet. Like this car, even kind of clapped out. Nothing was like rattling. It didn't just make braking sounds. It was like pretty good, even with 263,000 kilometers. And I knew it had some rust. And the girl wanted 6K, and I was like, I had my friend Jason come and inspect it, which if you watch the build, Jason's the one that's pretty much built this whole car for me. And he looked at it and he's like, yep, it's not great, but if you can get it for like 2K, I'd buy it. And I was like, okay. I asked the girl, and sure enough, we negotiated, and she took 2,700 from 6K. So I was like, how bad can this be? You know?
Famous last
Kind of
words.
thought you were off to the races there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good savings right off the hop.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, this is great. $2,000 US. I have a car. It's white and blue interior, which is like kind of the color scheme I wanted. I wanted a white one because originally my goal was to build one just like that, but black wheels and black like grills and
that
stuff.
would be sick.
That was my original goal.
Yeah.
So I was like, perfect. White, dark blue interior is going to look awesome. Same color scheme as my Rolls Royce. I bought the car, drove it home, and then immediately went on like a 3-month trip because I didn't want to be in the winter in Canada. And I have like family in New Zealand. So I went out there for a couple of months. I went to SEMA, and I basically just didn't live in Calgary because the way I'm fortunate enough to live is it didn't cost me any more to go on this trip. All I needed is a plane ticket, and then I got family to stay with. So I didn't have to pay for like food or accommodation. So I go out there and I come back, and during the time I'm away, I then look for kits for 190 Evo 2, and I found Hedgehog, and I was like, I called you actually when I was first looking. I remember on the phone with you. I was walking around my neighborhood, and I was like, okay, you guys built a Evo 2. What kit should I buy? And you basically told me, you were like, don't buy one. Like, like it's terrible. None of them fit. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. Because I wanted to buy a kit. I was like, maybe you guys make a kit. I can just buy your kit and it'll probably be good. And you told me it'll be like over a year before you even maybe sell a kit. And I was like, well, I don't have that much time. I want this car done for like summer this year. And then I found Hedgehog, and then I was on Facebook and I saw, okay, here's the US or Canada phone number for the supplier. So I called him. He's like, yeah, you can get a kit. It's gonna be $4,000 US plus shipping, and it'll be here on the next batch, which will be, I think, January. And I was like, okay, this is October. And I was like, fine, like put me on it. I'll do it. Because I was like, this is the best kit I can buy. Then he calls me a week later. I told him what I want to do. I'm a kid, and he's like, look, I'll sell you my personal kit that's coming on this batch. There's only 8 kits coming in November. You can buy that. I was like, okay, I don't even have the money to afford the kit outright. So I was like, I'll monthly payment for the kit. So I did. I paid him monthly. And by the time I got back in February, I had paid off the kit. Nice. So I was like, hey, now I have the car. Now I have the kit. We're good to go. This will be nice and easy. Infamous Aero is the shop that pretty much built the car for me. And I talked to Jason. I said, how much is it going to cost to build this? I need to be able to afford it. Car, I'm in for 3K almost. Kit, I'm in for about 7K, almost 8K. So I'm already about 10 and a half, 11. Let's just say 10 into it. It's like, I need to be able to build this kit on the car for $7,000.
What's up, man?
Your face. What's like?
No, man. I mean, it's a common thought.
Yeah.
You hear it a lot.
Yeah. So $7,000, I was like, that's my budget, Jason.
Okay.
I need this kit done for $7,000 on the car, ready to go, and then I'm gonna wrap it. I always plan on wrapping it because I was like, paint is just, it's so expensive. And I even later on during the build, I had a guy offer to paint it for free, but by that point we'd looked at the kit and we were like, this is so much work to paint. It would take double the work to get it all good. So I was like, I'll wrap it anyways. And thankfully in Nosatech, I reached out to them and they ended up giving me a free wrap, which,
That's awesome.
you know, with the followers and the social media, like a lot of companies do give you free stuff, or at least they give you a discount, like half off, which saved a lot of money. But they gave me a free wrap, and then my friend, he wrapped the car for me for about $1,000 Canadian, which is a really
pretty good
price. Yeah. So, okay, I was like $7,000 for the kit, $1,000 for the wrap, and then I need wheels. And then I need maintenance because the car had 260,000 kilometers, rusty, leaking everywhere. It's like, this should be good. I should be able to do it for $20,000, right? So we get to the February. We unbox the kit, infamous garage. It's terrible. Like, there's holes everywhere. The fiberglass, they were like, this is probably the worst kit we've ever seen in our life. Like, in real life, with our own hands, it's just falling apart. There were parts of it, like the roof wing wasn't even usable. It was just threw it away. The side paneling on the doors wasn't usable, just threw that away. Thankfully, my 190E had the OEM panels, so we just ended up using those panels, which if I didn't have those, I would have had to find them and put them on. Other than that, and the roof, the gurney flap with the adjustable, that was terrible. Like, just looked awful, so bad. And then obviously it's wavy and there's holes in the fiberglass. Like in the front fenders, there were literally holes where you could stick through the fiberglass. It was so thin.
Yeah.
And it's all bananaed and everything. And I was like, this is terrible. But obviously, I'm filming this whole project, so I put it on YouTube. And then Hedgehog, like, they obviously saw the videos. And everyone was like going in on Hedgehog, like, this is terrible. This is the worst kit we've ever seen. And then a lot of Hedgehog fans were like, no, Hedgehog makes great stuff. This kid just doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, well, it's not my fault. The kit is just what the kit is. It's nothing to do with me. Yeah. And Jason, he knows what he's doing. He's an expert. He's done fiberglass. Infamous Aero makes their own wide bodies for like GR86 and R Skylines. So anyways, he ends up agreeing to send me new parts for the kit that I need. And I asked for a full refund. And he ended up in the end giving me a half refund and sending me new front fenders. He sent me a new rear wing, new gurney flap, new rear window spoiler, and I think that was it. Oh, and in my kit, I ordered front splitter and it didn't even come in the kit. Like, I don't know where it went. It was just missing. So we got the splitter rods, but we had no front splitter. So he sent me that as well. So I got basically 50% new kit completely. And then we just decided to fiberglass work the rest of the body kit, which took months, like about 2 months to fiberglass. And it's still like, the rear bumper is okay. Like, we got all the lines straight, but the bottom line is still a little bit bent.
The arc in it.
Yeah. It's, before you go on, you did mention about the kit being imperfect, because I feel like that's something that's popular with, or not popular, but we've dealt with it quite a bit, right? Even on this Mercedes one. Yeah.
They're not great.
No.
There, a lot of people buy 190Es. They decide, I'm going to do an Evo 2 build like me, exactly like me, you know, very naive, and go, I'm going to buy a $1,500 eBay kit. Now, I was at least like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and buy the best kit I can. So I went to Hedgehog, which was supposedly the best. And I guess they had a manufacturing problem. They had, he basically delegated it to a new company that had never worked with him before. They didn't care. They just wanted to fulfill the orders. So they just smashed it out, shipped it out. And he, I guess, didn't quality control it.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So
on your car, like what kit did you get? Because I know we modified your car quite a bit.
Yeah, there's basically nothing left of the original kit. We used it for shapes, but at the time it was Duraflex, and Duraflex is the absolute worst. Like it made yours look like a 10 in comparison.
Really?
Like it's so bad.
Yeah, it's true.
Like it's not even close, like even remotely close. So by the time we were done, I'd say there's maybe 10% of that kit left. Like
That's
it's complete
wild.
trash.
That's
like there's
crazy.
like you'd have the bumper would be like this.
Oh no.
Like that's how bad it was.
Why'd you go with Duraflex?
Is all that was available at the time that I did mine. I bought my kit probably like 15 years ago.
Really? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I don't believe Hedgehog was even a thing at that time, was he?
Maybe, but I wasn't even aware of them. 'Cause
Right.
I searched everywhere, and that
Yeah.
was all that was available.
Wow.
Because I bought my 2.516 like 15 years ago.
So your car, the Evo, is a real Cosworth?
No. Then in the interim, Cosworths got so expensive that I just bought a base model, and then that's how we ended up with the Evo. But
Yes.
mine was like brown on brown, grandpa spec, like mint. So we just cut it all up.
We actually talk about it from time to time, but like 2019 is when we debuted the Evil Evo at SEMA. And at that time, you bought a mint grandpa spec 190E for how much?
$500.
$500
Canadian?
Canadian.
That is amazing.
Zero rust.
Man.
Yeah, the
thing was
I
mint.
imported my 2.5 and it was mint, and it cost me $8,000.
What?
And then
For a
Yeah.
Cosworth?
yeah, from Japan.
When was that?
Probably 15 years ago. 12 years ago? 12 years ago. Then I dropped the Evil Evo, and now 190s are stupid.
Yeah.
So it's all your
and
fault, Tim.
and you've
It's all
you
my
know,
fault.
It's all your fault.
you had to pay a premium. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I paid
You
the
know.
premium.
I think we may have jumped off the values of the 190s just a little
Yeah,
bit.
I literally get messages from people like, thanks for fucking this all up.
But they're
Yeah.
a really good platform, though, right? Like, how did you feel driving the car? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, I like driving the car. I was like, it's smooth.
Yeah.
It's quiet. It's not like when I get in a lot of old 80s cars, which almost every car I've owned has been an old car. A lot of them are rattly. A lot of them have broken parts. And
Yeah.
a lot of 190s also have broken everything. But my 190, somehow the interior is perfect. Like
That's
the interior
nice.
dash isn't even cracked.
Wow.
All the vents actually like stay in place. They don't flop down like
Oh,
most.
Yeah.
Even though-
How are your door cards? They're good?
Yeah, that one of them
Wow.
has like on the elbow rest.
Yep.
It kind of instead of being like this, it kind of like went like that. But that's it.
Yeah.
It's just mint. Otherwise,
That's not bad.
Those are rare. It's hard to
Pretty
find.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually the windows leak and then the door cards delaminate.
Yeah, no,
And
mine
the
is all
upper
good.
starts to peel.
Mine's all good with like that. Doesn't have that problem. I've seen it a lot.
That's amazing. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Jason Camisa on, I think it was the Carmudgeon Show. That's what it is called. But they were talking about 190s and just speaking about how nice they drive. Even in the base model, they were talking of the development of it and how many billions of whatever, Deutschmarks or whatever, they had to spend to develop this thing. They spent so much money developing the suspension and it had to ride like an S-Class. Like that was of the time.
Rides good.
Which was insane. And interior like had to have almost as much room as possible because people think the cars are big, but they're pretty tiny.
Yeah, they're small cars.
Yeah.
They're small. They're lightweight. They're it's an incredible chassis and a great platform to start with. But the single biggest issue with it is their fucking powertrains. They're just trash.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're not trash, but they're just gutless.
Yeah.
You know?
Even the Cosworth isn't a tremendous amount of power.
No.
Like you're going to get smoked by a Honda, unfortunately. But you can drive it fast. It's one of my favorite cars that I've ever driven.
Yeah.
'Cause you can drive it really fast.
And they just look cool. Like the reason that I wanted to build one and the inspiration came from obviously your car a lot because I saw that car in Calgary about a year before I even considered it. Yeah, a year and a half. And then what pushed me over the edge was the ASAP Rocky Need for Speed.
Oh, yo.
That was the car
Yes.
that like when I saw that, I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever
So
seen. Like
sick.
the coolest car I've ever seen in my life. I loved it. And I think like those two things in my mind subconsciously over the year, and all of a sudden one day I'm just like, there you go. That's the
Yeah.
car I'm going to build. Because I was like, surely I can build one for 20K, which back to the budget and how much I spent.
Yes.
basically Infamous Aero, they agreed we're going to build the kit for 7K before the kit arrived, which, normally shops would never do that.
No.
It's just crazy. But they agreed to it. And then when the kit arrived and they unboxed it and they saw how bad it was, Jason obviously knew my budget. And like, I would recommend anyone go to him because he kept his word. And he literally, everything you see on the build, he did all that work, which they've totaled the hours now. That was about $30,000 worth of work they did. Dang. He did it all for, I think, $7,500 or $7,000.
That's insane.
Like, that's unheard of for a shop to unbox the kit, see it's that bad. And then we hadn't even taken the body panels off and found the rust yet. If you watch the series, then after we unbox the kit, the next video, I think, or 2 videos later, we take all the like paneling off because mine had all the gray.
Yeah.
And rust everywhere. Everywhere. Like we thought at first the only rust on the car was a little bit on the outside of the fender, which is like, fine, we're going to chop it out anyways. And then in the front passenger inner fender was like a hole, like you could fit a couple like your head through it.
Wow, really?
And we were like, that's fine. I got the sheet metal, so from a junkyard car, I literally went to the junkyard and cut it out. So we just welded that in. And we thought that's all we needed to do. And then we took the paneling off and there was just holes, like through everything, through the, like the back where the trunk is, like the sides here, more in the inner fender, like.
Yeah, that stuff. When you discover that, like when you dig in, it can be so disheartening. You're just like, this could be the end.
Yeah.
Clearly, I mean, you had the fortitude to push forward, you know, and Jason was like, oh,
well, here we go. It's only because of Jason. Like, I was like, I don't have the money to push forward. Like, this is my budget, $7,000. And we didn't even really talk about it. He just went ahead and did it. Like, he just kept going. He's just like, it is what it is. We're gonna fix this. Mm-hmm. And so
you were saying earlier, like rust repair would kill you.
Yeah, it's so labor intensive and expensive. And the platform has to justify it.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
No.
The car did not. You can buy another nice 190.
Yeah, for a lot less money.
Yeah. And I looked at that. So, because the other video, I took the car to get inspected by a Mercedes specialist shop in Calgary. And they told me, you should probably buy another car.
Wow.
So that was forgetting the rust. That's just mechanically. That was before we found out about the rust. So like basically this car, everyone told me you should just throw it away. And like I was gonna throw it away, but if it wasn't for Jason, like we pushed forward, Jason pushed forward, and I was just like, well, let's do it. And also I didn't have the money to buy another car. Like a lot of people were sending me cars, they're like, oh, here's a nice one, it's like $14,000. I was like, yeah, it's beautiful, but I don't have $14,000 to build. That's the rest of my budget to finish the car is $14K. So I was like, it is what it is. If it wasn't for Jason continuing to build a car, I just wouldn't have the car. It wouldn't exist. I couldn't have afforded it because, he kept his word and finished the entire project for $7K, which is just like,
wow.
I can't recommend him enough. If it wasn't for Jason, this wouldn't have happened. And the other cool story, the wheels on the car are like 1994 Racing Heart wheels, which I was going to buy the like modern day replica wheels, the discs. And then my friend found them on Kijiji locally in Calgary. He found the real Racing Heart wheels for $700. So I just bought those.
Did he come with the tires?
No tires. But still $700.
This guy.
Wow.
I'm trying to see how much of a deal it was. That's a sick
like
deal.
$700 Canadian.
That's
like $500.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah. So I got those, powder coated them white. We had to fix one crack. But really this whole build, like I'm now into it, done cosmetically. We finished the car, it's wrapped, the bodywork's all done, the wheels are on it, we've got spacers, like it looks finished. The only thing we need to still touch is the suspension. Like it's got MTS Technic coilovers, but I want to raise the back a little bit because it's rubbing in the back. And the front, I'm hoping will be low enough when we raise the back, because I don't really want to lower the front much more. Like I want the OEM ride height because it's a daily driving car, it's not a race car. It's gonna get a lot of people commenting about that, but that's how it needs to be to drive it on the street.
Yeah, and because we saw the pictures, I'm like, it doesn't look like it could go any more lower, right? Can it?
Yeah, the factory wheel arch in the front is like, that's why you never see Evos from the front or the direct side view, it's always that rear 3/4 view because the factory fender gap is huge.
Yeah.
massive.
And that's the OEM.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, look, when everyone says you need to lower it more, I'm like, well, one, I actually try and drive it everywhere, like to church, to the grocery store, to my friend's house, to film cars, out to the mountains. I mean, this brings us to the road trip. So we finished the car like a week ago, not even, Thursday night. We worked on it up until like midnight, test driving it. And then we decide, okay, I live in Calgary. We're going to drive to WECFest for Seattle. And I planned this for a few months and then drive up to Vancouver for Driven tomorrow and then drive back to Calgary. And so I got my friends, Jason, Mateo, Scotty, and some other boys. And we decided to cruise down. And we got to about Montana. And then the car just started misfiring. No power.
Oh no.
Within a minute, it started misfiring, and within like a minute, we pulled over on the side of the road, and it died before we could even like put it in park. And then we were like, okay, what could this be? And then we pretty quickly realized we had no hazards. It was electrical. Something wrong with the grounds. Or
Could you smell some
we didn't
burning?
smell anything. We didn't smell
Okay.
anything. Thankfully, nothing, because we had no fire extinguisher or anything. Like, it would have been bad.
Did you even have tools?
We had tools. We
Okay.
brought tools to like fix the car mechanically if it broke. We brought some extra parts, but as soon as we were like, okay, it's electrical, Jason was like, yeah, we're not fixing this on the side of the road. It's just, that's it. It was the car. We're going to leave it here. And we were in East Glacier National Park. Literally no cell signal for about an hour from where we broke down. Like we had to drive 45 minutes to get cell signal. Middle of nowhere.
Did you have AAA or something?
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't have anything.
Oh, no.
So the other thing is I spent all my money finishing this project, right? Because all the bills for the build hit in the last week. So right before I go on this road trip, all my bills are hitting.
Oh,
so I'm
no.
paying all my bills and I paid them all. And then I have about $1,000 left in my bank account. Like, I'm not even kidding, right? I mean, I'm 20, so I can kind of do things a bit irresponsibly. You know, I don't have kids. I don't have a family.
Yep.
So I have $1,000 in my bank account and I decide to drive this car, which we've never tested, to Seattle. And then it breaks. And I'm like, I have no money. How much is this going to be to tow? Like,
You're just broken down.
I was like,
You're just-
I'm broken and broke. Like, I have nothing. So I was like, what do I do? So we go to this town called Kalispell, Montana, and I start calling tow companies because the car is literally sitting on a gravel side road just off the street in wherever, who knows. And I call these tow companies and I'm like, I look at the list and I feel like, you know, call this one. I feel like my spirit promised me. So I call them and they give me a phone number to another company and I call the guy and I'm like, how much is it to tow the car? And he's like, okay, to tow it from just where it broke down, an hour and a half to this town that we're in is going to be, I think, 650 USD, which is almost $1,000 Canadian. And I was like, okay, that I can afford that.
That's all my money.
I can afford that. That's literally like, I have $50 left in my bank account if I pay for that. And then he's like, and then it's $100 a night in storage just to keep the car here. And I was like, okay, I just don't have the money. Like I can't afford that. And you know, my parents, a lot of people think that everything I do is like funded by my parents, right? Like you see a 20-year-old doing what I do, you think, okay, his parents just have money. He's got money. And my parents, they do not have money like people think they do. And they definitely don't have any money to give to me. Like they do not, everything I spend is just money that I make and they don't give me anything, right? Which is, I think, a good thing. Mm-hmm. So it's all dependent on me. So I can't just call my parents up and be like, hey, can you give me $1,000 quickly? Just, I'll pay you back. Like they don't have the money to even do that. So I'm like, I have no money. I got no one to call. Like at the end of the day, yeah, I could call some people, but whatever. So I'm like praying, I need a miracle. I just don't know what to do. And the guy calls me back after I like pray. And he's like, look, I'll store it for free and I'll pick the car up.
Dang.
And so I was like, thank you so much. And he picks the car up and he put it in storage and he kept it there until yesterday. So almost a week he kept it.
Wow.
And then my friend Jay from Driven Society, I was trying to find a tow from Montana to Calgary, and it's like, you know, I'm quoted like $2,000 to tow across the border because that's a big problem. A lot of people don't want to do that. And this guy I know, I asked him, do you have anyone that you might know that could tow it for me? And he's like, well, I could do it. I have a truck and trailer. I'll just go get it. And this guy he's like a multi-millionaire business owner. He's got like houses in Arizona, BC, Montana. He literally has a cabin. I didn't even know he had a cabin by where I broke down.
Oh.
He had a house in Calgary. Like he's got Lambos, R8s, Rolls Royces. He loves Chevy Impalas. And this multi-millionaire is like, I'll go tow your car for gas money. And I'm like, what are you doing with your time? Like, why would you do that? But
amazing.
I'll take it. So he went down yesterday, picked the car up, loaded it in his enclosed trailer. Like
Wow.
his trailer is worth probably 15, 20 grand. And then he's got his nice F-250 and the enclosed trailer. Like this looks like a LaFerrari being towed, tows it back across the border, back to Calgary. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I just have to pay him gas money. And it's just like so many miracles come together to make this car happen, right? Them doing the build for 7K, it breaking and then getting towed, and just where it broke and what it broke. And then this guy hopefully will fix the car in the next 2 weeks. We'll find out what the problem is electrically. But depending on how bad it is, I really want to engine swap it. So like that's what you were talking about. I want to make it go as good as it looks, because it doesn't go.
So before we talk about engine options, so just from hearing that story, thoughts?
Wow.
You were there. My car's on the dyno
blessed.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, our tuner just whacked his finger off yesterday.
Oh yeah, I didn't tell you that.
My car.
Lost his finger?
Yeah, almost.
He was checking
like-
flow on something and took the end of it off. So that ended our dyno day yesterday. It's at the dyno right now. We got to pick it up, make more changes, take it back on Monday. So it's been
Oh my
an adventure.
gosh.
So it never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. So don't do what I did. Stay on brand and do something a little smaller, and then you'll have more
Yeah.
success.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want. But like I said, right now, the car's done cosmetically and I'm into the car. I need to total the actual bills up, but I estimate I'm
Don't
into
ever
it.
do that.
No.
Well, I have to. I said I was going to do a video and break it down
You'll
for the
never
content.
finish it if you do that.
Do what? Total the
Total.
value?
See how
You'll-
much
you'll-
you've put into it.
I need to know. I want to know.
Yeah,
you
you need to know.
Have you guys ever totaled any of your project cars? No.
Can't do
Which we
that.
try not to.
Yeah.
But I want to.
You'll
But we-
scare
but we
yourself
do.
out of it.
Yeah, because like body work, that's another thing. Like they told you it was going to cost like 20, 30 grand. Does that sound reasonable for that
that's
kind
what
of
it
kit?
cost. That's how many hours
Retail,
they put in.
retail.
Yeah.
Like, does that sound usual for like body kits and stuff? Yeah.
Well, that's basically what that AMG GT, by the time it leaves with that cheap body kit, it'll be low 20s.
yeah.
Yeah, and it based on what our experience is with that car, doesn't sound quite as bad as how
And-
yours situation was. So
I would say that kit's better than what you started with.
yeah, that's. I mean, what you started with, TJ. I mean, that sounds
Well, the Hedgehog kit,
seriously
we
unfortunate.
we put a month into it.
Yeah,
And that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A solid month to make it look as nice as it does.
That's so crazy.
yeah, because we did the Evo 1 kit on one of our 190 motor swap conversions we're doing for a client, and it was came from Hedgehog. It was actually a decent kit. It was decent.
Yeah.
It needed a bunch of refinement on our end because we're kind of built into a pretty high standard. But I mean, that's kind of like par for the course for any kind of fiberglass work, but it's nothing like how you're describing.
Yeah, no. That's what Jason said
So-
as he was building it, because the replacement parts we got, they were all fantastic except the main wing. The rear wing was still like probably wasn't worth waiting for. It was still flimsy, but everything else, like 10 out of 10 parts, the replacements. He says he's sending new parts to the other people. I know 2 of the people who bought the 8 kits.
From the same
Yeah.
batch. Oh,
So like, I don't really know what they're going to do. I think he's sending the parts.
I haven't heard any of them that are really that good. And the Hedgehog hasn't been bad, but I think it's been in relation to the cost of the vehicle. So people's expectations aren't that high.
Yeah.
Because up until ours, I don't think I ever saw one that was nice. Like you used to see Evo 2 kits on cars, but they were never good. Like ever. So I don't think the market isn't there to build. Like we've been trying to build a kit forever, and our kit, like I tell people, like at minimum it's going to be $10,000
Yeah.
to make it proper. But the market isn't there to justify that expensive of a kit. So all these kits are always floating around at like $3,500, $4,500, or they're race car parts that people are trying to repurpose. So I just don't think the quality is there yet. Like as the value of the vehicles increase, more and more people are coming on and making stuff for it. But it's just traditionally the cars were so cheap. Like to buy a $5,000 kit for $1,000 car it just wasn't happening.
No. Yeah.
So
yeah, which is interesting because that's why you also see so many kits are whenever you see like the Liberty Walk. Do those fit? Those usually fit better, right? A lot better.
Yeah,
but that's why
with it.
But it's
cost
like a $30,000 kit. Like
exactly.
they start at $15,000 or $17,000, and it's justifiable.
Yep.
Because the amount of body work that we have to do to them is like maybe a week just to dial them in perfect.
Yeah, way
so the
less.
end result and the end cost is similar, but a lot less labor.
Yeah.
And the turnaround's way quicker. Like we can turn around a Liberty Walk kit in a week, but one of these kits, it's months.
Yeah, but I think like, you know, TJ, how you're talking about how you wanted to try to invest in like a higher quality kit than what was available to sort of get off on the right foot. I mean, there's a lot of value in thinking like that, for sure. I mean, it makes sense to think like that. It doesn't always work out that smoothly because we've done other really high-end kits and they've also been pretty shit. It's a gamble. It really is.
Yeah. Like we've had kits that are like 50 grand and they're still not perfect.
Right. And you would expect them to be a scuff and shoot, bolted on perfect.
For that much money.
Right. And we've had kits that were like that. Remember, what was it? Well, we did
the Carbon Aim Game kit was really
nice. Carbon Aim Game.
Yeah.
That was pretty good for the NSX. That was a pretty decent kit.
I priced an entire Evo 2 kit from Mercedes Classic, and it would probably be cheaper.
But you can buy one?
You could at the time that I called.
Dang.
But when I bought my car was like, I paid $8,000 for it, and I called them, and the wing was like, for an original Evo 2 wing, right from Mercedes at the time was like $6,000.
Oh gosh.
And then the rest of the panels, bumpers, it would probably be like almost $17,000, $20,000.
But that's it.
But it's probably gonna bolt on, like
Yeah,
OEM.
It's OEM.
It's OEM.
Yeah.
Which seemed obscene at
When
the
was
time.
this?
Like probably 12 years ago.
I didn't know you could get anything
Maybe.
original parts.
Yeah, you probably can't anymore. I assume it's all been consumed by this point. But at the time, they had the parts.
Everything.
And it would have been $20,000. But even then, I just paid $8,000 for a prime example of a 2.516. So it's the market just wasn't. Actually, at the time that I bought my car, there was an Evo 2 for sale in Japan, and it was $55,000.
Now it's $500,000 car.
Yeah, but at the time, it didn't justify it because the 2.516 and the Evo 2 are
so close
to performance, and there's not, aside from its aesthetics, it's not that different of a car.
because the motors are pretty much the same, right?
Yeah, the motors are the same. There's some subtle differences to the chassis. Like the chassis is reworked on the 2.5 on the Evo that not a lot of people know about. They assume it's the same, but it's not. And a few other pieces, but you would have never known they were going to be $500,000.
No.
Like they were cheap.
That's so.
Even when I paid $8,000 for mine, people thought I was crazy because here they didn't know about Cosworths and they just thought these were like
throwaway
European
cars. Yeah.
taxi cabs, like $500, $800. Like
So now, what did the Cosworths, like your 2.516? What would it go for? Like
nice ones are like 35 to 50.
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yep.
They're actually worth more back in Europe than they are here. Like you see them there for like 35, 40,000 pounds.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go and bring a trailer, they're between 35 and 50, depending on mileage.
Yeah. That's why I see like 35 to 40 in whatever currency you're in that country.
Yeah.
So it changes in currencies.
Wow.
But and then the Evo 2s are like $350 US, $450 US.
The price difference is insane.
Yeah, there's one here for sale. I think he wants $350 US.
Oh my god.
And the last one that I saw sold for $375.
And then RM Sotheby's sold one at Las Vegas F1 for $544 US.
Okay, these people are smoking things.
Yeah, but then the HWA one, the HWA one,
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yes.
what, 750
$750
US. US, that's a million Canadian.
That is just wild, man.
And they sold out apparently 100 cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So HWA, they're making like
It's like a Singer version
Like a
of
Singer version.
Evo 2.
yeah. That's
Which is
pretty
interesting.
Cool. That's
I mean,
cool.
it's
They were
really
able to-
cool.
That's cool. They were able to because we were talking with Chris Ashton from Ruffering Cars, and it's like the justification for like you see this and it's like cheap car. Same thing with like Mustangs. He builds Mustangs, and it's like it's a $2,000 Mustang. Like why would it cost $500,000 or something? And so that price difference, like it's still
It's the same as like Singer Porsche, like Porsches before Singer came along.
yeah.
30K.
You can get them 30K. They're sitting in carports. You can get one for 15, and now you can't even get near one.
So crazy.
Yeah.
They used to just be sitting everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I used to drive by my kid's daycare, and there's just 964 sitting in the carport,
Oh,
and they were
good
worthless.
times.
Yeah.
Do you think Evo 2 or Mercedes 190s have already hit their
No,
hit?
I don't think so. Because even now, the parts and stuff, like I was saying, is getting. They're creating more parts. There's more people that are into it, and then now at those prices, it kind of justifies being able to push
The
to a
values.
little bit higher level. Because if you're selling $1 million cars, to get 100 into one doesn't seem that
Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah, it's insane how expensive those HWAs are.
Yeah.
Like that's more than a Singer.
It's wild.
That's insane.
It's pretty cool.
And I went to Motor Miami in March, and John Tamarian is there, and I don't know his connection exactly, but I know he's very involved with that project.
Isn't it that the Miami? What's the name of his dealership?
Curated.
We are
Yeah.
curated. Yeah.
So I went there, and my whole goal when I was there was to meet him. And I wanted to ask, do you have any parts that I can get? Anything you can give me that I can put on my car, whether it's a real parts from an old one that you're taking, or do you have any HWA like steering wheel or just like a badge even? And he's like, oh, no, we don't have anything right now, but maybe in the future we can give you a part. Which I was like, that would be really cool to put something on my car, like even a shift knob, something.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted my kit to be the real Evo 2 kit, because there are a lot of builds now online with Evos, a lot in Europe I'm seeing as I've been building mine, but they're all the like wide body version of an Evo 2 with a whole different front bumper. And it's like a whole different fenders. And I wanted mine to be exactly like the real one.
Oh, that's interesting. I would have just full sent the wide body one.
No, I'm not like, I wanted it to look legit.
Yeah.
Like your car looks like legit. It looks like the real one more than the ones in Europe. Like I know it's not like mine, but the ones in Europe, the one I'm talking about,
Yeah,
where
they
it's like
tend to
even.
mold them and wide body them and exaggerate them even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, another Pandem kit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Pandem sells them?
Yeah, Pandem
Yeah.
makes a
Pandem
kit.
has a wide
But
body.
it's more standard box flare style, right?
Yeah.
Like we've looked at them before.
Oh, okay.
It's not the same even remotely.
Yeah, like the keeping mine with the like over fenders with the factory seams and all that kind of stuff was important.
Yeah.
You wanted to keep an OEM kind of look.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you blend it out and mold it out, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, it's super nice. I mean, you look at the Evo 2 in that factory form, it evokes an emotion, and it's really nice to be able to sort of keep that.
Yeah.
It's a cool vibe.
And so engine stuff. Let's dive into engines. So your engine makes like what?
90 horsepower right now. Stock
Oh, okay.
130.
That was when it was new. So it's probably
New
lost a
130,
few
I
horses.
think. 136, right?
Yeah,
For
it's not a lot.
Savage.
Yeah, sick. So much power. Blew your socks off. But so what engine were we suggesting for him to get? Because you were thinking of maybe potentially an L
Well, I
swap.
need- yeah.
Or like, no.
Well, people's perception of what these cars are is like completely wrong. They were never big horsepower cars ever. Like they're in the 200s. And even in DTM, I think they topped out at like 400 horsepower. So, and they're not fast. And the Cosworth engine, as cool as it is it's super expensive to get stuff for it. Nobody can work on it. So I wouldn't even suggest getting a Cosworth engine. Like as soon as you put anything other than a Cosworth in, the internet will beat the shit out of you. But clearly they have never owned one and know nothing about it because it's expensive platform. So I would go myself, I would probably put an M104 in it.
So what is the M104?
It's like a 3.2 liter inline six.
What did it come in?
E320s, G-Wagons, they put them in everything.
Like early 2000s or 90s?
Late 90s, I think the platform's like 94 to early 2000s. Yeah.
Okay. And then presumably, I'm assuming you're going to want a manual transmission too.
Definitely.
Of course.
So what transmission?
You can get manuals out of all kinds of things. SLKs are popular because they're a 6-speed. There is some 5. Most of the 5 speeds are geared for like G-Wagons and trucks and vans. There's not really much for, but the trans, like the dogleg trans in the 2.5 is insanely expensive now.
Yeah, that's a sick
I think the last one that I seen was $4,500 US
Just for the trans?
just for the trans. And then you still need pedal
Everything
box,
else.
shifter, clutch, drive shaft, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, and as soon as you tell anybody what you're doing with it, like you're getting taxed.
100%.
The Evo tax.
Oh, is that
So if you need to have the dog leg to try to, stay on brand, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, and I don't have that right now. Especially
So, like any
right
of the
now.
SLK 320 trans, the 6 speeds, the small, they're great.
What is that motor from the SLK called?
I don't know.
Because it's a four-cylinder
compressor. It's like an
supercharged.
M111.
So many numbers.
A lot of people put those in them, right?
Yeah.
So would that be another option
Yeah.
you would suggest as well?
But
Yeah.
the M104,
That's what we were originally going to do to that sport line that we have here, and then he went to M104, and then there's a 112, the V6. So there's lots of options that'll fit in there without too much modification.
And does it just bolt in?
For the most part, most of them do. Yeah.
That's sick.
Same motor mounts. You can put it in there without having to cut a whole bunch of stuff.
for the M104.
Yeah, the 104 you can get in it because it actually came in it. Like there was a version that they put it in, so all the stuff is available for it.
And that
That's
makes
what I
like,
need.
how much power?
Well, they call it the German 2J, so it starts. I think stock is like 265 or 255 maybe,
That's
and it goes
perfect
up
for
to
me.
like. There's guys making 1,000 horsepower with them.
Pretty sick.
I just want like 260 because when I looked, I'm pretty sure the real Evo 2. Do you know how much
It is like
horsepower?
265.
Yeah, I looked on Forza.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, it's 260. Okay, that's my goal. I want 260, just like the real one.
Yeah, because the problem with putting an LS in the car, which was one of your thoughts, is everything else has
Everything
to give.
else has to change.
Yeah,
And I got quoted 25K in labor.
but
And
it's
then-
probably gonna go up, honestly.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm just not spending that. Like I'd literally keep it stock instead of spending 25K on
I'd
the
say
engine.
25K is a little light if you've never done it before.
And that's just like too much money. can go buy 3 cars I want, 25K. Like 3, not just one each, right? I want to get another car pretty soon, the Mustang. Can build that entire build for like 15.
Yeah.
Everything I want to do to it.
Yeah,
So-
but it is cool so far though. How far your car has come. I haven't seen it in person yet. We haven't seen it yet.
Supposed to. Maybe if you come to Calgary, you'll see it anytime soon. We'll see what we can do with the electrical. Like if we can't get that fixed, then I'd probably just engine swap it.
For the electrical stuff, like just in case you want to keep the engine it is now and then do it later, you need I'm guessing, was that the same generation that disintegrating harness?
Biodegradable.
No?
I don't think it had the biodegradable harness in it. Maybe it is a 92.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. It would be at the tail end of it.
So maybe.
But there's a bunch of inherent electrical problems with those cars where you can start looking.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have an expert who thinks he already knows what's wrong with it. So should be able to get the car fixed within like 2 weeks, I hope. Maybe less. And then I can just drive it. And then once it gets cold again in Canada, look at engine swapping it.
And so in case you need a new wiring harness, do we have any spares? No? Your harness from your car is just...
Oh, that's long gone.
Oh, okay.
That
I
was
wasn't
the
sure if
biggest
you saved
mistake
it.
I made with my car.
I was in a scrapper instant.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah, I
literally
wasn't sure if you
threw
saved
everything
it
out.
somewhere or something.
No, because those cars were still available at that time for hundreds of dollars. I just tossed it all because I didn't want to deal with marketplace.
Okay.
No,
I
yeah.
literally threw everything out.
Yeah, let's look like back in 2019 when we did that car. Remember those cars were almost worthless.
$500
Yeah.
car.
Like he bought a mint car for $500. So you
Then
throw
just to get
you
two
throw
door
everything
panels for this.
Mercedes in the garbage,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, to do 2 base model door panels cost me $500.
That's
now.
wild.
yeah,
And then
times have
another
changed.
$2,000 in labor to turn them into Cosworth door panels.
That's so crazy. Yeah. So that's why whenever I ask you about if your door panels are mint, like the Irish car, like we pretty much had to make brand new door panels for them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when I put an M104 in it and then the transmission in, do I need to put a different wiring harness from another
Yeah, you'll have to get the engine harness
Yeah.
from the 104?
Yeah,
And then I'm guessing it's separate from the chassis harness, like
Yeah.
the body harness. Yeah. Okay. So that means it should be.
That's the nice thing about the Mercedes is that the whole engine harness and ECU is almost completely separate from the chassis harness.
Amazing.
So
Okay.
the swap part of it's a lot easier.
Yo, do it. And you have some parts that we can sell to him, right?
Yeah, we have an M104.
Yo. Transmission.
and we have a transmission too, don't we?
Transmission,
Everything you
Pedal
need.
box.
I need
So,
that.
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
During this actual whole build, I had someone reach out to me and they were in Georgia, and I was gonna go buy it because when I was considering getting a different shell to build, they had a Cosworth 2.316, and they were like, "We'll sell it to you for $800 US."
That's not bad.
It was no rust because it was in Georgia, like perfect. The only problem was it had no title in America, which in America is a big problem. So to get it across the border would be a huge headache.
No, I had a loophole for that. I literally made a video on it, how to get your what's it called? It's a Vermont loophole.
Really?
So you register the car, and don't tell anyone I told you guys this, but literally I've done it with 2 of my cars now.
Yeah?
It's been glorious. Send your registration info to they still use mail. It's not electronic. If you don't have it, the only thing they need is a bill of sale. So you send the bill of sale to Vermont, to the DMV, and then mail in a check for, I forgot how much. But you send that in with some filled out paperwork, and a few days later, or a few weeks later, sometimes they were, like, one of them took like a month and a half. They got me back the paperwork, and I did it for like 2 cars. And
Wow.
apparently it's legal. So I don't know if it's still a thing, but I literally made a video about it. So subscribe to my channel, The Golden
go.
Drive, because it's there. Like, seriously, like,
Yeah.
it's like a thing. So I don't know if that's still an option for you, but
Well,
yeah.
That car is no longer available because basically I could have got it. I had about a month to get it, and I was going to go down with a truck and trailer, my friend, and pick it up. But the car, like, had been stripped apart. Basically, I think it was a lady that had it, an old lady. She passed away. The car went to like a scrapyard. The scrapyard were like, it's too nice. So then this kid messaged me, and his brother bought the car from the scrapyard. He told me. So they had it, and then they started taking it apart. So it was like sitting there in this yard on jack stands, and then it had like all the Cosworth engine was like literally scattered across
That's
the yard.
crazy.
Like every piece of it was just lying in like grass.
Wow.
And I was like, it was also an automatic. And I was just like, it's great, but at the same time, the amount of work, I just don't
put
have
it
the
all
money
back,
to fix
yeah.
this car.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
You see
Just
a lot of them.
turn and walk away.
That's what I did. I ended up walking away, and then he messaged me, and they now sold the car for $2,000 US to someone
Yeah.
local.
That's good that they got some money out of it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Because you don't know when they took the whole thing apart, you don't know how many things they broke or they threw away, or it's not worth it.
No.
So
No, like
Yeah.
Tim said, like it's playing around with that powertrain is a financial and like scheduling nightmare. Like when you were driving your 2.516, remember that day we were driving and you hit and like a rock fell off the back of a truck and we hit
dump
it.
truck, and I drove over it and cracked the oil pan. The oil pan at that time was probably what, I don't even know, 8 years ago, was like $2,500.
Yeah, and you waited.
4.5, 5 months to get it.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. So like, I mean, in a situation like that where you're like, are all the parts that are scattered on the lawn here, are they actually all there? If not, good luck.
I didn't
man.
know that.
Walk away.
Yeah.
$2,500
insane.
for an oil pan.
Well, it's like a cast aluminum Cosworth oil pan.
Oh, that's painful.
Yeah.
And everything about it, you're waiting constantly.
Because it was never sold.
Like even this
Here.
2.5 that we restored, it's taken 2 years because everything you need to get is 3 weeks away, a month away, once you can even find it. So it's a headache.
Yeah.
Like it's not a cheap car to do, and everything Ford's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you get them sorted, you're probably good for another 200,000 kilometers. But if you're catching it on the tail end and it's been sitting around, it'll beat you up.
Anything else before we go off air?
I mean, I just want to wrap up saying, as of right now, I'm pretty sure I'm into the car for 23 to 25K. So
Not bad.
That's
not
bad.
big
No.
over budget, but
No.
that's with help from
Yeah.
people give me a discount, free wrap, free.
So if we had to put a price tag on it at what it actually costs,
is
minus
probably
discount,
40.
I would
at
say
least
50.
50.
Yeah.
I would say 50.
I would say 50. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
That would be my quote.
You got a lot of help, man.
Yeah.
Like, huge. Seriously.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
kinda crazy.
you were no doubt about it. You've been blessed.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool car, man. And props to you for following through and finding the right people to get on board with it that had the fortitude to push through the tough times.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah, I just can't thank like Infamous Aero. If you live in Calgary, definitely go to them if you
Why
need
didn't you
work.
get those guys on building the kit?
They say they don't want to build kits that are not like they designed. They only want to build kits that they designed for different cars, not replica
Not based
kits.
off something else. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're not into that. So like they have a kit for a R32, they have a kit for a GR86, they have a kit for a New Edge Mustang, which is coming out, which that, like I keep saying Mustang, they have a kit for it. So part of...
Potentially going yours at some point.
Yeah.
Sick.
definitely has to. The kit looks so good. It's not like a, studded kit. It's like molded to the design of the car, just wider. And then I think they have another kit for another car. I don't remember what it is. Oh, Subaru WRX.
Cool. That's awesome. So I think that's pretty much it. So if you want to follow TJ's journey in all of this, because he posts quite a bit and it's pretty cool. We were talking about it earlier, but it's pretty cool that you're honest about everything, because if you, a lot of people, like, they go through this whole process and they don't reveal almost anything. So it's pretty cool that you're being transparent with how not good the kit was and all of this stuff. And so,
it confuses me why people aren't transparent. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I had a lot of people tell me, wow, I can't believe you're like making this, showing the whole process, like documenting it. And even sometimes I'm like, should I tell people I straight up only had $1,000 in my bank account when I left Calgary, or should I just keep that to myself? But I was like, it's
people
the truth.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because we changed our format a bit too, and people seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, but that, they're like, think you're calling people out, and it's like, I'm not really calling them out. I'm just
telling it like it is.
Sharing my experience.
No, and I don't like any drama. I mean, me and Hedgehog, we have a good relationship. Like, we still talk now, even after this has happened. And I've tried to also show, hey, he sent me new parts and they're actually good.
That's cool. Yeah. So appreciate it. So follow TJ Lamb at Magnacars on Instagram. What else?
Snapchat,
YouTube?
TikTok, YouTube.
All of the
YouTube's the
things.
main one.
Yeah.
And then Facebook as well.
Yeah, if you want to see the whole build, because it was documented on all your channels.
Yeah, YouTube is obviously the best place to see the whole playlist.
Yeah.
And it's not done, right? Because now we got to do mechanical and
engine swap
and
potentially.
I have the interior we didn't have time to do, but I have all the stuff to like change the interior. So I'm putting in like new seats. I'm putting in a steering wheel I got that's pretty rare. I'm putting in like all carbon fiber, like satin carbon, where the plastic is and the wood, and then a half roll bar with harnesses. I got given by a guy in Calgary from a Cosworth, and he's like, I just have this. No one in Calgary needs it. I can't even sell this if I wanted to. So he's like, you can have it.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
And so with that said, we will catch you guys later. Bye.